But she looked at me and she said, I live on the island and I work during the week and I only come here to buy weed for my daughter who lives in the streets. And yeah, I was just like, I always used to be so like smiley and happy with her. And I was just...
You just lost the appetite to sell to her after that,
yeah,
right?
dude. I just felt like I was overstepping or...
Help us understand the major health risks. Like when somebody is thinking of trying cannabis for the first time, what are the major health risks they should put into consideration? All right, you know what? Welcome to I'm Here to Talk, and I'm here to talk. Everybody, today is a very interesting episode, okay? It's 420. Well, it's not exactly 420 today, but this episode will be uploaded on 420 per the occasion, of course. Today we have a very special guest. He's a good friend of mine. He is a professional budtender that has his Selling It Right license, and today he's gonna help indulge us in the information we all are curious about when it comes to the subject of cannabis. Welcome, AJ.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's great to have you on the show. It's great to have you.
Good to be here, man.
Good. So today, AJ, we want to use your knowledge to get down to the bottom of some things many people are curious about when it comes to the subject of cannabis, of course. Cannabis is a growing subject. In the past few years, it's been rapidly growing even more, of course. As you know, you're a professional yourself. You work in the industry. You know how the market's been growing. You know how the products and the companies have been growing and whatnot. And people are becoming more and more curious because they're seeing it in their everyday lives, whether they have something to do with it or not, because it has also become legalized in many countries and many states. So we're curious. And now even the people that don't indulge in cannabis in any way, shape, or form when it comes to its consumption are also becoming curious. So AJ, we're gonna start off with the obvious. What is cannabis?
Cannabis is a part of a plant family, and marijuana comes from cannabis, the cannabis plant. It's similar to like orange and citrus. So citrus would cover the whole plant family, and then oranges are a specific fruit that comes from the family. So cannabis is the broader term, and then the marijuana is usually the most highest potent part of that plant. So the weed that people smoke that you can get from dispensaries across the world nowadays is going to be marijuana, which is the actual weed flower, dried flower.
AJ, you work at a dispensary yourself, and you're very knowledgeable about your work and what you do. Now, might I ask you, these dispensaries that are around all of Vancouver and all of Canada and all the places where cannabis has now been legalized, is their main goal to sell cannabis for its, rather, if it's appropriate for me to say, entertaining purposes? Because of course there's an entertaining purpose of cannabis, and there's also, I believe, medical purposes. So these dispensaries, are they there to sell them for the entertaining purposes or the medical purposes, or both? How does it work?
So that part is really up to the consumer. So when you come in, if you don't know what you're looking for, that's why the budtenders are there to kind of guide you towards the feeling that you're trying to get or what you're trying to use it for. So our job is to figure out, is it more of like a medical thing? And we're not doctors by any means. We're not healthcare professionals. We leave that stuff to them, but we can guide you towards, like, if you're experiencing some pain and let's say a health professional did mention the marijuana might help, I can help you towards a strain that might help with that, while telling you I'm not a health professional, but helping with the medical side of it. But there also is an entertainment side of it. There's recreational uses. So people smoke weed in a social setting, to go out. A lot of people come to comedy shows because we're near a lot of the comedy clubs. So they come down to see a comedy show and they want to giggle and they want to laugh and they want to have a nice euphoric high. So that would be the recreational side. Whereas there are medical properties, then weed has been used for medical reasons across the world for a long time.
All right. Well, AJ, that leads me on to the question. A lot of people are curious about this because before, marijuana or cannabis or weed or whatever you like to call it was legalized, many people had this debate so it could lead into its legalization, or if it shouldn't be legalized. Are there medical purposes? A lot of people still till today think that the medical purposes are just, pretty much deja vus given by the public just so people could accept marijuana. Some people think that it actually really does have, medical purposes. So I want to ask you, and, you're going to help us get to the bottom of this. Are there medical purposes? Now, I know you're not a doctor, of course, but, you'd at least have more of an insight than us. From your experience as a budtender, do you know there to be medical purposes? For example, patients who visit you regularly because it helps them with something that, they might have or something, and it's serious. It actually helps them. Do you know of cases like these, for example?
So I've done research, so I don't have any actual patients who visit and use it for medicinal reasons. Mostly we have recreational use at our shop, personally, from what I know. But from the research that I've done, it can be used for medical reasons. It can be used for patients who are undergoing chemotherapy, for nausea, loss of appetite, all that kind of stuff. So that's what a lot of professionals have come up with. They've said that it has helped a lot of people who are undergoing chemotherapy, for example. I know that I've read that it helps with patients undergoing treatment for MS. They use cannabis for various reasons. Like you said, I'm not a doctor, but this is just based on the research that I've done.
Okay.
The majority of experts say that it is used for medical reasons.
Okay. And when you say it's used for chemotherapy and such, you mean as a painkiller, of course, not some sort of
It would, well, from what I understand, for nausea. So people undergoing chemotherapy often experience nausea symptoms and loss of appetite at times. So the marijuana helps kind of reduce that feeling and helps them eat and kind of try to maintain themselves in that way.
Perfect. All right. What about mental health, AJ? Mental health, that's also a subject that, I've, heard people many times claim that it helps them with their mental health as well. And, I know of some things myself as well. And, you're also going to help us, get down to the bottom of this. Mental health. Does it help with mental health? Now, I know that mental health kind of falls under the same category in a way of medical purposes, but it in and of itself, separate from the biological part, just, the brain part, the psychological part, does it help with mental health issues such as ADHD, such as stress, such as OCD? Is it true that it helps with some of these things for some people?
It can be true. A lot of people do use it. And where we are, my shop is the middle of downtown. So we see a lot of different professionals from all walks of life. We see people from the entertainment district. We see people from the financial district. And most of them come to me to buy weed for the weekend so that they can relieve their stress or anxiety.
Anxiety.
A lot of vapes we sell during the day, just so people can kind of not use something that's going to be too strong, but maybe something that's a little lighter, that's going to kind of reduce the anxiety in day-to-day life. And then there are users who want something to relieve stress. So they're stressed from a 5-day work week, 9 to 5. It was just grind. Now they want to go home. They want to relax. They want to forget about it. Similar to someone going home after a long week and cracking open a cold beer.
Okay.
So a little bit of a stress relief, something to wind down and relax. but it's a double-edged sword. So there are two sides. There's on one side of the coin, there's the relief of stress and the relief of anxiety and OCD. You could treat it for whatever. It's catered to each personal individual. Like it's catered personally to each individual based on what you're looking for. But then on the other side, on the flip side, it could induce panic attacks. It can induce paranoia. And I myself firsthand have seen both sides of the coin. And so when people come and tell me, hey, that weed made me paranoid, I tell them, the first thing I tell them is maybe like try to take a break or try to use something that's a little bit lighter. That's not going to be, or a different strain or something that's not going to be as, panic inducing. That's going to be a little lighter and give you more of the enjoyable effects of the marijuana, as opposed to something very intense that's going to kind of make you relive bad moments or give you a paranoia, like you're looking out the window. I've had people tell me all sorts of things. So I see both sides. I've personally experienced both sides. So there's, as far as mental health goes, there's always a good and a bad, but that goes for anything.
Of course, so yeah.
Using it too much might induce paranoia. And what I've read is that it can trigger schizophrenia in people who have schizophrenia. It can trigger certain elements of schizophrenia.
So it literally triggers schizophrenia if you have it. It can. Wow, very interesting. Okay. So what you're basically saying is, yes, cannabis by fact does have some, positive effects when it comes to mental health, but it also would be lying to say it doesn't have negative effects.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely.
Perfect. Okay. It's just because nowadays people have this idea that cannabis, or they try to convince themselves with the idea that cannabis is, 100% pro and like it's perfect and there's no, health effects and whatnot, major health effects. And mind you, my stance on the subject, of course, I think the plant, there is use for it, or there's something we should be doing with it. I have a personal belief that God's never created anything for no reason, right? So of course, God created it for a reason for us to use positively as well. But, it's the same subject as like, something that is created for us to use, but it could also be used in negative ways. And I feel that's what in modern day people have taken cannabis to the level of, Now, this is so interesting because I was going to ask you about the anxiety in specific and paranoia, because obviously anxiety is the most infamous one. Oh, it helps me with my anxiety. So, and you answered that like without me even asking, but like I want to like reiterate it just so I understand. So some people, it helps them with their anxiety. But I also know from what I know is that some people even went out of their way to stop it when they used to consume it because of paranoia. So what is it? Does it give you anxiety, or does it does it help with your anxiety, or does it give you paranoia? Does it amp it up?
It depends on the user, and it depends on how much you're using. So I think they say anything in abundance can be detrimental to your health or to your lifestyle. So I think using it frequently and like all the time may lead you down the path of causing anxiety. But everyone's different. I know people who smoke for the first time ever and they just don't like it and they never smoke again. I know people who have smoked for a very long time and then they eventually go down that path and they feel that paranoia and they feel because they've been using it for so long. But since everyone's different, it's hard to kind of answer that in like a straight up answer. It does help with anxiety, it can, but it can also, provide discomfort. It can give you paranoia and panic attacks, and I've firsthand had both. Like I've been paranoid after consuming cannabis. I've had panic attacks, but when I was younger, it would relieve stress. It would calm my anxiety. I was very anxious, and it would help. But over time, for me personally, the prolonged use of it added more negative effects than positive, which is why I actually don't consume cannabis anymore at all.
Perfect. Okay, that's very interesting. So basically, it differs from patient, it differs from the level of consumption, and it differs from the situation you're in, pretty much.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay. Now, you mentioned strains before, which leads me on to the question. The strains, what are the different types of cannabis or marijuana? Like, how does it work exactly? Because as well, the question I'd like for you to answer for us, what is the difference between cannabis and marijuana as well? I know you went on in that, like, in the beginning, but like more in depth, like, just so people understand, because sometimes people think that, you know, cannabis and marijuana are just different terms or something like that. They don't understand that cannabis is like the mother tree and then marijuana is under cannabis in a way. So can you help us understand that a little more?
Yeah. So the cannabis would be the plant family, and then marijuana is the flower, that the most potent part that comes from the plant. And then as far as strains go, we have indicas, sativas, hybrids, and there are different cannabinoids: CBD, CBN, CBC, CBG. They're all
sounds like radio channels. I swear to God, bro.
It can be confusing, but that's why we're there. All budtenders, I respect knowledgeable budtenders who do their research or try the products and test them out and see how it works, because it affects everyone differently. But the general consensus is that indica's kind of in the couch. So you're more chill, you're more relaxed, you're more it's more of a heavy body high for indicas, and then sativas are more cerebral. They're more creative, they're uplifting. It's more of a head high than a body high, so you're still functional. So a lot of users use sativas during the day. The general consensus is that sativas are daytime use, indicas are nighttime use. But with that being said, in the last 4 or 5 years, I've met so many people that come to the dispensary, and they give me the complete opposite. A lot of them, way more than I would have imagined. They come in and say, hey, I use sativa to help me sleep. And it's interesting because experts say that it's the other way around. But that just goes to prove, like, everyone is different and we all come from different walks of life, and anything, it affects you personally. Like, it's like snowflakes. Every snowflake is unique, and every human being is unique to themselves. And so it affects everyone differently. The general consensus is that indica is more of a downer, sativa is more of an upper, and hybrids are a mix of both. So you can have 50-50 hybrids where they're 50% indica, so you have those effects, and then 50% sativa, so you have a little mix of both. Or they could be more sativa dominant, so more of a uplifting high, and then a general chill as well, but not much. So it could be like 70-30 or 80-20, and it's really up to us as budtenders to experience the product ourselves. And that's how I used to educate my customers. Like, I tried this and this is what worked for me. This is what this strain did for me. This is what that strain did for me. But now that I don't partake, I have to do my research. So every time we get a new shipment in, I'm on Reddit, I'm using ChatGPT, I'm on Google, just, you know, and then my regulars, the ones I see every day or every other day or every Friday, I tell them, hey, this is new. Did you want to try it? You don't have to, but did you want to try it? This is what I've read about it. I want you to tell me what you think of it. And a lot of them were, since I've been there for so long, and I consider myself a pretty personable person, a lot of people kind of gravitate towards me, and they just come back. They come back to see me. They come back with feedback. They have, some of them write down what they felt. Some of them text me like, hey man, this was crazy. Shout out Phil. If Phil's watching this, shout out for always, you know, you're the man. But yeah, it can be positive. There can be negative aspects to it, but generally there are positive aspects to marijuana, and I think the general public, not everyone is aware of its uses and what it can do for you. And so I'm there to, even if you don't buy anything, stop by the shop and ask me some questions, and I'll try to help you the best I can.
Of course. Well, I promise you, Phil is probably watching. Shout out Phil as well. And yeah, man, honestly, that's a great answer. Thank you so much for getting in depth with that, because that's something that people are very confused with. You know, how there's, you said indica, there's sativa, there's hybrid, which can have indica dominant, sativa dominant. And, you know, it just a mix up, you know, for people who aren't really into it. Now, you mentioned something, or you got a bit more in depth with it, that I'd like to ask you about, if you're comfortable with asking, of course.
Yeah.
Do you yourself consume cannabis?
Not anymore.
Okay.
But I did for a number of years.
Oh, of course. And if, of course, as well, if you're comfortable with answering this, why did you stop, or why did you decide to take that step back from your life?
It wasn't helping me as much as it wasn't. It was, there were a lot more negative aspects to it than there were positive. It became habitual. It just became like something that I did. It was, there was an oral fixation to it. You know, just having something, you know, you take a drag, and it wasn't helping at all. At a certain point, I had to talk with one of my family members, and he really put it into perspective, because he's grown up now. He's 30 this year. He's 30 in a month.
The big
couple
30.
Years back, the big 30. And so I hadn't seen him in a really long time, and he consumes cannabis. And when I told him, he saw, when he came to visit several years back, he saw how much I was consuming, and it threw him off. And while we were outside, we're sitting down near my apartment, we're smoking again, and he looked at me and he was like, "Dude, I think you need to chill out." And I was kind of like, "What do you mean by that?" You know? And I became defensive, and then I had to kind of look at myself in a new light, and kind of look at my habits and see what I was doing, and kind of question, was it helping me or not? And it was not. It was not. It may have at one point been helping reduce stress and anxiety, but at this point it was very habitual. It was just all the time. There was no point at that time, a couple years back, there was no point of the day where I wasn't using. I would be functional at work, but it was just so much all the time. It was financially irresponsible. It was too much. And at that point, I'd said, you know, I'm going to taper off. And then once I did taper off, I quit completely. And it was hard. There were withdrawal symptoms for sure. I wouldn't say it was as intense as something like alcohol can be, but it was pretty bad for several weeks. And I had to kind of power through that in order to kind of see the light on the other side. It was a difficult, dark time for me, but every day that goes by, further and further away from the time I decided to quit, makes me feel a lot better, like mentally, physically, even emotionally. I just feel sharper. I feel more focused, very clear-headed. I can do things in the gym that wasn't able to do when I was still smoking all the time. So for me personally, this is the best decision that I've ever made. But everyone's different. And a lot of my customers have very strict discipline. They only buy one joint at a time, or they only buy one pack of joints at a time. They don't buy any ounces. They don't buy any flour. They simply just want to relax for tonight and not have anything at home that could trigger them into smoking more. So for personally, I didn't have that discipline. If it was at home, let's do it. And so bringing myself away from it was difficult, especially being in the industry. But I can honestly say it was the best decision that I've ever made.
That's amazing, man. Well, honestly, AJ, it's very respectable, very commendable. Hats off to you for sure. Because from what I know as well, you know, it's not that easy. And, you know, I know a lot of weak-minded people out there. And the reason I say weak-minded, mind you, I don't think everybody who consumes cannabis is weak-minded. But the reason I say that is because there are people out there that know that cannabis is the number one factor that is affecting their lives, and they consume it daily, and they're not even putting an effort to try. So it's very respectable and commendable. Hats off to you that you prioritize your health, your life, and you know, not everyone could do that. So that shows truly how strong of a man you are. And you literally work in the industry. You see it every day, and you see the craziest stuff every day. So honestly, it's much more respectable. Hats off to you, my friend. But that leads me on to another question. Now, this one is the number one asked question in the cannabis curious industry. Okay, is it addictive? So many people think it's not addictive. So many people think it is addictive. What is it, AJ? Tell us.
It can be addictive. It can definitely be addictive, especially when it becomes habitual and just, it's an everyday thing where it gets to a point where someone can feel like they need it. They need it in order to go about their daily life. And there's a difference between using it for medicinal reasons and having it, you know, help with stress, help ease anxiety, and a difference between that and using it every day and just being dependent on it. So anything I think can be addictive. If personally, I have an addictive personality. So I'm very prone to becoming addicted, if you will, to something very easily. And with what I've gone through, I feel like I was addicted. I was completely addicted. In the moment, I was very adamant that I was not. It was just, there's no way I'm addicted to cannabis. I can't be. That's not a real thing. So I understand certain stances where people say it's not addictive. Personally, I believe it's addictive, and the research shows that it can be, to the point where there are withdrawal symptoms. And like I said, it may not be as severe as something like alcohol, and there are other substances out there that are harder to come back from. But marijuana, I believe, is an addictive substance because it gives you that psychoactive high, and people can chase that high. And that's something I did for a really long time. I wanted to chase the earlier highs in my life, the very cerebral, euphoric, dreamlike state that I felt when I first started using cannabis. I spent several years searching for that feeling again. And it's hard to get that back because at that point your body isn't used to the substance, so it's a new feeling. Everything's new and dreamy and it's nice, but then it gets to a point where you can't capture that anymore. It won't last as long. It's not going to be as intense. And I spent years addicted to it, trying to find that. And now I find more solace in other things, like taking a long walk and walking 6 kilometers somewhere and then being like, oh snap, I'm kind of stuck out here. It's either call an Uber for $12-13 to get home or walk home. And then I come home and I have that gratification of I just accomplished a 10-kilometer walk. It took me 2.5 hours, but you know, I did it. And that's what I chase now. I chase that high, if you will. But definitely marijuana, I 100% believe. Personally, I 100% believe it can be addictive, and it is addictive.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, AJ. Coming from a professional that gives us all a better insight, I personally think it 101% is addictive, AJ. I mean, it's very difficult to say that something that isn't completely consuming as well the younger generation's mind nowadays, which will get us into another subject in a bit, isn't addictive. You know, I know some people who literally, you know, like their day is made up of or like a major part of it is, you know, the part in a day where they need to go restock on their weed or whatever. It's like a necessity. It's like groceries. Now, I don't believe that people do that because it helps them with their anxiety. I think that's addiction, you know? And I'm going to be completely honest with this, you know, like there is a difference between, of course, using it for you know, these purposes and using it just because, you know, it gets you that high or whatever and whatnot. But as well, I think that some people have, you know, ways of like using it pretty much as and this is why I was asking a lot about like the medical purposes and the mental health and whatnot, because nowadays a lot of people, of course, use that as excuses to make it acceptable and whatnot. But at the same time, you know, it's a pretty tough subject. At the end of the day, it's like you mentioned the withdrawals. The withdrawals aren't as crazy as some other substances or whatnot, but at the end of the day, you know, that's the same as marijuana or cannabis being a, you know, a substance, but not a hard substance, right? Same thing as having the withdrawals, but not hard withdrawals. So I personally do think there's no possible way it's not addictive, right? And, you know, this leads me as well to another question that, you know, that of course, if I want you to just like, from your experience, from what you know, from what you've heard, if you've ever like, you know, noticed something here and there, whatnot. Obviously, you were a, you know, consumer in your earlier years and whatnot. You're not anymore. But so this is something a lot of people wonder, because a lot of, you know, a lot of places take it very seriously when it comes to driving, you know. So I want to ask you, is it true that somebody under the influence of cannabis, or not under the influence, sorry, somebody who still has cannabinoids in their system could be a threat on the road to other people? Is it true?
It can be. It definitely can be. Using cannabis while driving or just before driving can definitely impair your ability to react quickly to situations. It could it definitely impairs your ability to drive. Everyone's different. I don't know how different people, you know, kind of put that into their life and kind of go about their day. And I don't want to speak too much to get too in depth about it. But I believe that for most people, it can definitely impair the way that they drive. It can slow reaction times. It can concentration, focus, all that. It's not something like you wouldn't drink and drive. So I don't believe you should smoke and drive as well. But it's interesting you said if there's cannabinoids in their system after the high. I mean, that's like the same question as having a couple beers and then waiting several hours and then driving. Like, it's still in your system. I'm not too sure, honestly. I don't have an answer for that. Okay. But that's the closest thing. If it's in your system, I don't think, just in case something happens, like you might get home, everything's perfect, you're good, everyone on the road is good, you get home safe, that's fine. But if something happens and there are cannabinoids in your system, then that could be an issue, you know? So I don't know too much about it. Just gonna leave it at that.
Of course, yeah. But it's just that, like, at the end of the day, right? You know, some places take it seriously with, like, even not just currently being under the influence, but, like, you know, having it in your system. Like, for example, some systems, we're not going to get too much in depth with this because this is not what we're here to do, but like would see someone, let's say, for example, committing a crime or something like that. Mm-hmm. And there's investigation, whatnot, and then they find, cannabis in his system or whatever. Yeah. And then that's immediately used as a factor to like blame the situation. Oh, that's why, or that's probably one of the reasons why. For example, driving and an accident happening. Mm-hmm. Now, as much as I like to say, from what I know, I do think cannabis definitely has more cons than pros. I don't think that, at least we're in modern day using it as correctly as we should be. I think definitely humans are starting to abuse it, right? Not to say that the plant is not a significant plant. Of course it is. And it has its wonderful uses. Of course, I could bet that once more. Nothing was ever created for no purpose. Mm-hmm. But as much as I'm saying that, I genuinely don't think that somebody having it in their system but not currently being under the influence would be an effect or a threat to others on the road. It doesn't make sense, because it's the same thing as saying somebody got and I know with alcohol it's different. Of course, alcohol leaves your system faster. We know all that stuff. But it's the same thing as saying, John was at a party yesterday, sandblasted a bunch of beers, went home shit-faced drunk, woke up, he was completely fine, had a nice breakfast, all healthy, all woke, and then he gets in his car to drive to work, has an accident. Oh, it was definitely because of yesterday's drinking. It's not really, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of weird. It's kind of playing tag with it, just blaming it on anything, right? AJ. This one is a question that so many people watching this are literally waiting for it to be asked. Mm-hmm. Hash and weed, is it the same thing?
It comes from the same plant, so it's still part of cannabis, but the weed, it would imply like marijuana, the flower, the most potent part. The hash is a concentrated form that's pressurized, and it is derived from the most potent part of the plant. So you get something that's going to be very, very concentrated, highly concentrated substance that is going to give you a very much more concentrated hit of cannabis, of THC. So you're definitely going to feel the effects a lot heavier than just smoking a joint. And a lot of people use infused hash joints or use hash on, example, cigarettes, and they swear by hash. A lot of people smoke hash, but there is a difference between weed and hash.
Okay.
So the marijuana is different from the hash is basically a pressed form of the flower, and the rosin or the hash that is derived from the weed is different from the actual flower itself, but it's the same components. It's still going to come from the same plant.
Okay. But AJ, is it the same experience? If somebody were to smoke hash for the first time in their life, let's say somebody has been smoking hash for many years and they've never smoked weed per se, but obviously, hash gives them an idea of what it might feel like, so they know. And then all of a sudden, the first time ever, one day they try weed, whether it's indica, sativa, or hybrid, would they feel the same way, or would it throw them off as if it's a first time high as well?
So someone who's never smoked hash would definitely feel the effects of the hash. And vice versa. Someone who smokes hash, smoking weed, might feel the effects from the weed, but because they've been smoking hash in a concentrated form of the weed, I don't think it would affect them as much as the other way around. Okay. So someone who has never smoked hash would definitely feel the effects. It would be much heavier onset. You're going to feel the effects for several hours. I mean, everyone's different, but this is what I think. You're going to feel it for several hours. You might feel it the next day, kind of like a weed hangover. Definitely. Hash is a lot more concentrated, a lot heavier. I've had hash in the past. I've had weed a lot, and I can tell you for a fact it definitely did the trick as far as the high goes. Oh man, hash was intense.
Wow.
It wasn't like unbearable, but it was definitely more intense than the weed. I definitely felt the effects more. I was definitely feeling the effects of hash.
I see. So what you're saying is somebody coming from weed trying hash for the first time would get like a kick in the brain way more than somebody coming from hash and trying weed for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's actually very interesting, because I thought, from what I knew, I thought that weed was actually more of a high than hash. Like, I thought weed was heavier in general than hash.
Hash is more concentrated, but these days weed is getting stronger and stronger, especially with like infused items. Those
that's
are
different.
Very heavy. Even the weed that we have now is hitting up to 34-35% THC, which is higher than I've ever seen it. Like it always used to be a lot lower. And so when it comes to that, it might be comparable to the hash, but in my experience, the hash just hits different.
I see. What's interesting actually, AJ, is from what I know as well, is that some people who came from hash to weed for the first time described it the exact way you're describing, from weed to hash for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, so I guess you're really right when you say it really, these are things that really do differ by person as well and whatnot. But I guess as well, this leads me to ask something about, because you mentioned the THC levels and whatnot. Now, before I ask this question, just to like give a general idea, THC probably one of the most, formal terms when it comes to cannabis. People are going to be hearing THC more than anything, more than CBD, more than the THC, that acronym. It's said 24/7 whenever cannabis is in the equation. So please, AJ, tell us, inform us, what is THC for somebody who knows nothing?
THC, I'm probably going to screw this up. Tetrahydro cannabinoid. I'm not even prepared for this.
We weren't even expecting that, but thank you. What is it? So
THC is a component of the plant that gives you that psychoactive high, if you will. So without THC, so if you're smoking something that's just CBD, you would feel more calm, but you wouldn't feel that high. So you wouldn't feel the psychoactive effect of the weed. So the THC is what implies that you're going to get high when you're smoking something or ingesting something that's infused with cannabis. THC is what gives you that high. Whereas CBD or all the other cannabinoids, CBG, CBN, they all have different properties. When paired with THC, they give you I wouldn't even say heavier high. They kind of complement each other. So the CBD kind of gives you a more relaxed, calm, chill high, especially when paired with THC. But THC itself is going to give you that high. So that's the part of the plant that is psychoactive.
Okay. Now, AJ, you mentioned this earlier. If anyone were to kind of get into industry, they'd hear of this as well, this term, infused, which as well, from my, understanding, is that most of the time, budtenders like yourself, of course, selling infused products will really emphasize the power of infused products.
Yes.
So, AJ, what is infused? What is the difference between weed just being weed and being infused weed? What is the infused term? What is it infused with? How does the infusion work? What's the difference in the effect?
So recently, in the last several years, we've had an influx of infused joints on the market. So infused drinks, infused joints, but the infused joints in particular are going to give you a much heavier high on account of the infusion with distillate or terpenes. Mind you, the terpenes infused ones that are just infused with terpenes don't necessarily have to be strong. The terpenes give you that flavor, but when infused with distillate or keef or hash or any of that stuff, it gives you like rosin. You can infuse weed with anything. You could even make it on your own, but there are brands out there that actually sell infused products, infused joints that are catered to someone who wants a heavier hit. So for example, we were talking about hash. So there are hash infused joints. So joints that are infused with hash and rolled up and sold to the public. They're going to give you a heavier high. The weed alone is going to give you that psychoactive high, but then with the hash, the concentrated form, it will add on to it. It would definitely give you a more chill, relaxed, very apparent high. There are a lot of people that smoke regular joints and they say, I feel nothing. Whereas someone who's completely new to cannabis might feel like, oh, this regular joint is strong enough. But a lot of those people who smoke a lot or need a higher kick, they go to infused joints. They smoke something that's infused with distillate or infused with hash or rosin, and they'll feel the effects more because these are infused. So when they're rolling it up, they have the rosin in there, or they have shatter. I haven't really come across any shatter infused as of yet, but it's probably out there on the market.
Sorry, what is that? Shatter?
Shatter. So they're all different types of, so from what I understand, the hash is like when you pressurize the weed, you get the hash. Rosin is similar. So it's extracted from weed with different methods. There's butane method. There's different methods where you can extract a more concentrated, more pure form of the THC. So it intensifies the THC. So it's not just weed anymore with 20 to or 18 to 35% THC. It's now a very concentrated dose of the THC cannabinoid that's going to give you a more psychoactive high, more of a heavier high, if you will. So all of those are different ways to, different extractions or extracts of the plant that are going to give you a more solid high, more intense high.
You also mentioned a few different methods of consumption and whatnot, which leads me on to another question. Methods of consumption. Obviously, throughout the episode, mostly you've been mentioning smoking, which is obviously the most popular method of consumption.
Definitely.
What are the methods of consumption? You know, how could somebody get an understanding of the methods of consumption when it comes to weed?
Yeah, there are topicals out there to start something completely new. So there are creams, there are perspirant, stuff you can apply to your skin that's absorbed dermally.
Really?
Yeah.
Like lotion or like cream, and then it makes you high?
I wouldn't say it makes you high. From my understanding, a lot of that is CBD, and it's absorbed into the bloodstream through the skin. Won't really get you high, but there are bath bombs. There's lube on the market.
Wow.
I've come across lube on the market. We had a few. They kind of stuck around because it was very new to the market. No one really knew what it was. I sold maybe two out of the 12 or whatever we had. I've personally sold two. So I don't really know how it works, but from my understanding,
two more than you should have been able to sell. I mean, what? That is a weird product.
Yeah, it's they're doing a lot of things. All these brands, these major brands, they're doing so much in the lab, bringing the concentration levels up as high as they can, experimenting with different types of topicals and creams, and it goes on. There's one of the ways is topicals, inhalation, as we talked about, smoking the actual cannabis, but inhalation also refers to vapes. So you can vape a much more concentrated form of cannabis. So you're smoking oil in a vape, and vaporizing it. And when you inhale the vaporized smoke, you get a much more intense high, which from my experience and from what I've read and researched, it doesn't last as long. So you get a much more concentrated hit as opposed to smoking a joint, but it's going to dissipate a little bit quicker than it would smoking a joint.
So it's gonna hit you harder, but it's gonna go away faster. Pretty much. Okay.
So you're still gonna be high for a good amount of time, just not several hours as you might be with an actual joint. Whereas the onset of a joint is a little different. It takes a couple minutes for you to start feeling the buzz, and then you start feeling the effects more. Even after you smoke, you start feeling the effects more and more and more. And then could be several hours for, depending, everyone's different.
Of
like
course,
we talked about. But it could be several hours, it could be a couple hours, it could be an hour. You'll be high off that joint. But with the vapes, when you inhale the vape, you'll feel immediate onset, immediate high, very intense high, but it's not going to last too long. The third one would be ingestibles. So we have edibles. I feel like there's been edibles available far before legalization.
Of course.
People were baking brownies back in the days.
The good old weed brownies.
Weed brownies.
Oh, yeah.
I've come across weed brownies back in the days. Those were jam-packed. Because now, especially when you go to a government licensed dispensary in Canada, you get something that is Health Canada standard. So it is tested by Health Canada to make sure there are no contaminants in the products. And the government of Canada also has a very strict limit on what you can consume when it comes to edibles. 10 milligrams is the cap for any edible gummies, or they even have brownies. We sell brownies at the shop.
That's crazy, man.
Little chocolates, stuff like that, 10 milligrams. So it might be a 10 milligram single piece. It might be two pieces that are 5 milligrams, or it could be as many as 5 pieces, 2 milligrams each. So lower dose for someone who doesn't want a 10 milligram at once. So those are 3 methods. There's also sublingual, which is under the tongue, absorbed under the tongue. I haven't yet come across any of those, but in my research, I did come across that, that term sublingual. So we have sublingual, under the tongue, topicals, through the skin, inhalation in the lungs, and ingestion, which is edibles or drinks. You can even have drinks that are infused with cannabis.
I see. And the good old... high school ripping of the bong.
The bong is
inhalation, I guess, right?
Inhalation, yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people use the bong. A lot of people use the bong.
The way you said that's like, it's like you have some memories.
I miss my bongs. Honestly, a lot more people like. I like that you said high school, because it was a very niche high school thing to do. Like, hitting the bong at Buddy's place. Yeah, that's a real thing. But
that nasty ass water in it still.
Bro doesn't change it. It hasn't been changed in God knows how long. But it would hit. That shit would slap. But I find being in the industry and seeing so many people and talking to them about how they use it and whatnot, I come across a lot of working professionals who have a bong at home.
Suit and tie and everything?
Suit and tie.
What?
You'd be surprised how many people you wouldn't even go under the radar. Being in this area, being in downtown Vancouver, like I said, I walk a lot around here. I haven't seen my car in about 3 weeks. I hope it's still there in the parking garage. But I walk everywhere, and I see so many of my customers that you would otherwise not assume. You would just assume this is just a regular working professional. But I know so-and-so just bought a vape for me yesterday. I know for a fact we give each other a head nod, a slight head nod. There's no interaction, but suit and tie, you know, $20,000 Rolex. But I know, bro, he's one of my regular customers. He's ripped right now.
What?
And he's a working professional. He does what he needs to do. He gets it done, but uses cannabis. And there's a stigma, I find, that a lot of people kind of look down on marijuana and its uses, which is why this, for example, he has to vape when he's at work and stuff like that. But like we discussed earlier, there are, you know, certain properties that people use it for, like for anxiety relief or stress relief.
Of course. Well, here's the thing, AJ. In my opinion, from the way I see it and from what I know, you know, there's a difference between somebody consuming cannabis and somebody letting cannabis consume them.
Yeah, yes.
So that is something that we have to put into consideration as well. You mentioned the frowning upon cannabis and marijuana. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, it is more, you know, vicious in other cultures. For example, you know, me, I'm Canadian Egyptian. Mm-hmm. Obviously, two completely opposing opinions on the subject. In Egypt, marijuana is completely frowned upon. Mm-hmm. Egyptians even go out of their way to call a stoner hashish, which is an insult, pretty much. You know, people in Egypt use that as an insult. It is not something to describe someone. As in Canada, a stoner, I see people literally saying it to describe themselves nowadays. Yeah. It's just, oh yeah, I'm a stoner, right? Oh, you're a stoner? I'm a stoner too. It's oh God, in Egypt, that would be like, you know, pretty much like, oh, and he just insulted himself and he's insulting you too. Like, obviously in Canada, it is more accepted, or it has become more accepted. Mm-hmm. But to be honest with you, AJ, this is one thing that disturbs me a lot. And I'm not going to get into, you know, anything that has to do with laws and regulations, not our place. Yeah. But for some reason, I don't ever find it okay in any way, shape, or form when somebody is smoking cannabis on the streets and there's a mother walking with their children. It is a very weird subject. Like, obviously, you could do that here now. No one will tell you anything, even the cops, right? But what do you feel about that? Because every time, like, I have nothing against cannabis users, but every single time I see that, it makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like that kid shouldn't see or 100%. Smell that at all, you know?
100%.
And this is why we're here sitting and talking about it, because, you know, it is now put in their faces, in their everyday lives. Yeah. A kid walking back home from school sees it and smells it every single day.
Every day.
So I'm sorry, but they need to learn about it, because you don't just make something allowed, but you refuse for them to learn about it. It's like, oh, it's there, they could see it, they could smell it, but they can't learn about it. No. Now that it's allowed, they have to learn about it.
100%.
Right? So what do you think about that? Because every single time it gets me, AJ, I feel weird when, you know, I see that, or, you know, I feel anything about that. Like, what do you think about that?
Personally, coming from where we are right now, downtown Vancouver, you see a plethora of so many unique people and unique situations. You can see so many different things happening, so many different substances being used just by being here. But for me personally, if there's a mother and her kids walking down the street and I'm consuming cannabis, I will step away. I will, you know, if I have to walk into an alley and, you know, consume cannabis amongst a bunch of little rats and roaches and garbage and, you know,
you could say it. You can say it, AJ. The Vancouver crackheads, AJ.
You know, so be it. I'm not going to smoke in front of a mother and her child. But with that being said, we do have to be aware that downtown Vancouver is what it is. It is what it is.
It's a crazy place.
Yeah. You're going to see a lot of different things, a lot of different unique situations. And, you know, I personally wouldn't bring my children out in downtown, but there are people that live here and people have children and That's the norm of it. But if you're standing there smoking cannabis and a mother and her children walk by and you just continue puffing away and blowing little clouds into little Timmy's face, then, you know, that's just disrespectful.
Fucking dickhead. Straight up. I mean, like, what else? But yeah, man, it's real, bro. Fucking hell. Vancouver really is
it's Gotham City.
Place.
Gotham City. I say it all the time. I was gonna wear my Joker shirt, but I couldn't find the purple sunglasses.
Yeah, you're wearing Vancouver, man.
Vancouver Canucks.
With the OVO and everything.
With the OVO. Bro, shout out OVO. Shout out Drake.
Yeah.
Doing some crazy collabs. McDonald's. What the fuck was that about?
That's actually
popped
crazy.
Up out of nowhere. I had to go one of the meals. That was fun. I don't do sugar anymore. This does have sugar in it. Sapsucker.
Oh yeah, guys. Thanks you, AJ, for reminding me. This episode is not sponsored, okay? Sapsucker ain't paying us shit, okay? It's just a nice local Canadian beverage, and I'm gonna stop talking because unless you guys sponsor me, right?
Check.
You know, come with the check and then we'll talk, all right? But yeah, this episode's not sponsored. Anyways, so yeah, that's it's good you say that, AJ. It's good that you have that opinion because you know, I feel uncomfortable with how, you know, free people are nowadays with it around the children as well. That's my main issue with it.
Yeah.
Every single time I see it in public, I feel so uncomfortable. I feel like I need to step in the way of the mother and their children so they don't see that or somehow smell it. It makes me feel genuinely uncomfortable.
It does. When I'm at the shop, we no longer have to block out our windows, so windows can stay clear. We don't have to put like, I know some vape stores still have the opaque windows where you can't look into it. I think marijuana dispensaries were similar at one point while I was here in Vancouver, but now it's clear windows, and a lot of kids look in to see, and we have our logos up, and we have, you know, a board up, and we have this joint that they can easily see, like a giant inflatable joint. And when I see kids looking in, I feel uncomfortable. And when I see the parents notice that their child is looking into this marijuana dispensary, they immediately look at me, and I'm just standing there working on something, and I feel like I obviously it's not on me, but I feel uncomfortable. I feel like shit, you know, and that's why I respect the hell out of parents who educate their children on this is a substance. It's part of the world. It's part of society. You know, people use it, and they do need to understand it, because in my opinion, if you shelter them from certain things,
curiosity will make them try it.
Yeah,
for sure. That's not even a subject. If I had children, I would tell them everything about how cannabis works. Why? Because you have a decision. I'll tell you why cannabis is the way it is, why in some places it's frowned upon, and I'll tell you the effects of cannabis. And you know, to me, I believe that a child is more prone to not even trying it if they really are knowledgeable about it than knowing nothing about it, being always like, why are mom and dad always like, no, just never talk about this subject. It'll make them so curious. And you know, children reach that age where no matter what type of parent you are, their curiosity is going to overtake what you told them, and they will try certain things. Now, I believe that parents, especially living in Canada and places like these nowadays, you know, obviously it's not their fault, but it's the way it is now. So they have to adapt into being okay with telling their children, oh, hey, mom, what is that leaf that looks like the maple leaf? Oh, that is the cannabis leaf. Let me teach you about it, son. Because now you have to know about it. Because literally, if somebody's walking on your school turf, smoking a fat blunt, no one could tell him anything now. It's okay. He can't be told off even. It would be illegal for him to be told off, right? And this also leads me to another thing. The logos. You mentioned the logos. The logos are everywhere.
Yeah.
In Canada, you know, some places now go out of their ways to be like, to put like signs of like where there's no smoking, no vaping.
Yeah.
Now the no cannabis sign is literally, I see that more than the no smoking or no vaping sign.
Yeah.
It's literally a sign on its own. Some places feel like they have to do that so people know as well, like, oh, and by the way, I've seen places that do it and also add the smoking and vaping just to make it not seem that it's targeted, but they really are targeting the marijuana. It's like, we don't want marijuana, but we're going to add smoking in general so you don't think it's targeted and you don't try to file a lawsuit against us because, you know, it's legal, right?
It is legal, but I believe there are certain places you can smoke. I'm under the impression it's government property. You can't. So it might include schools. Schools,
I thought
office.
so as well, but you know, but I don't know. I mean, I've seen it. I didn't see anything happen about it, but like I would guess you're right. I would guess that a school would be different. Someone would have the authority to be like, hey man, not here, you know?
Yeah.
So that makes sense, but I've seen it happen and nothing happened about it. So that was weird. You know, but yeah, blunts and joints, AJ, blunts and joints. You know, a lot of people have that question as well because they see, you know, influencers such as Wiz Khalifa pop up with the joint saying he's not into blunts or the opposite, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And Snoop Dogg's the opposite or something like that.
Snoop Dogg smokes
I don't know, but they're two cool people and all, but like it's something like that, right?
Yeah.
Where some people are into the joints, not the blunts. Some people are into blunts, not the joints. So what's the difference between a blunt and a joint? Do you know the difference?
The difference would be how you roll it. So joints are just paper. Rice paper usually, zigzags, raw paper, the likes. Blunts, when it comes from a government dispensary, we can't sell any tobacco. So zero tobacco, zero nicotine. So that includes blunts. When it comes from...
For everything?
Any government licensed cannabis dispensary in Canada is going to be tobacco free, nicotine free, nothing. Like I have people coming in asking for vapes. I have weed vapes. I don't have nicotine vapes.
Dude, that's so weird though. How, don't you think it's weird, AJ, how they make a bigger deal out of tobacco than cannabis? Or do you think it's, you know?
I could get into the government and tobacco, but that would just, let's
not do that.
That would take us completely...
FBI open.
They'd come for us. They'd come through the windows. They'd rappel through the windows.
The
SWAT team on the ground, and you know, I got an appointment at 5, and I would be in a non-disclosed location with you. We'd be hanging out together, man. But I don't want to get into the government. Shout out the government. Love you guys. You guys are cool.
Of course. What's up, guys? Y'all chilling? We cool. We're
cool, right? Okay. Just want to make sure the government doesn't allow us to sell nicotine. So any blunts that come from a government dispensary are going to be chamomile leaf or tea leaf or hemp wrap. It's not a actual blunt, or the blunts that we are more used to are more common in pop culture, like with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, I'm sure, smokes actual tobacco wrap, like a cigar wrap or cigarello, where he cuts it open, takes out the trash, the backwood trash, or smoking backwoods, or what are the other ones, Phillies or the likes. I don't know what they smoke in the States. But shout out Canada, shout out Backwoods, shout out Century Sam's, shout out Phillies. Sponsor us, sponsor this episode. So the blunts aren't going to have any nicotine in them. No tobacco leaf, none of that. But the blunts essentially smoke a little bit slower. So it's a slower smoke. It's a more refined smoke in the sense that it doesn't kind of canoe. It goes even the whole way. Depending on how you light it, it could canoe. But the blunts were kind of my go-to. Blunts, bongs, cool stuff.
I see. So you were more of a blunt guy.
I like blunts more.
Oh, okay.
Blunts for me, I don't know if it was a placebo from back in the day smoking tobacco wrap blunts. Blunts would hit harder. I don't know what it was. They would slow burn halfway through. Shout out the Loud Plug from Scarborough. Check them out. They're a licensed grower or a provider, LP. They're an LP. that drops products at cannabis dispensaries. They have a specific product. It's a blunt called the Benny Blunto. Takes forever to smoke. Would not recommend anyone to smoke that alone. It's just takes forever to smoke. Hits so hard, and it's hard to like remember that it's no tobacco in there because it hits you harder. It's harsher. It just more than papers. I don't know. Maybe it's a placebo. Maybe it's just me personally, but blunts have always been what I've been attracted to. But the papers are like an everyday thing. Papers were like, smoking papers all the time. And Wiz Khalifa, like you said, he did transition from blunts in his earlier days to papers. He only smokes papers, which if you're smoking tobacco, blunts, that would be the healthier alternative, I guess.
I see. Okay, well, just really quick, AJ, because I noticed I asked that or I was initiating that question earlier, but I forgot to ask the question at the end. THC, CBD, just a quick understanding of the difference for someone who knows that there is THC and there's CBD, but not exactly.
When paired together, they give you the effects of CBD are more pronounced. The THC alone is just that psychoactive high that you feel, whereas CBD alone isn't going to get you high at all. So you'll feel a little more calm. One of the managers at our shop, the district manager, actually, he says that he always feels like he's about to get high when he smokes a CBD. When he tried the CBD strain, he feels like he's about to get high from like smoking THC, but it never comes.
Okay.
So that was interesting to me because I personally never had CBD weed alone on its own. I know we have a few products at our shop, and some of the bigger shops have several CBD products, and a lot of people do buy those, just not as many as the THC users. Where the THC is more psychoactive, more of a high. CBD is no high, but it does give you a sense of calm, and it does help with what I've read. It helps with the inflammation. And then there's other cannabinoids too, if you wanted to touch on those. CBN, CBG, CBC, all of those are different as well. CBG is more uplifting, especially when paired with THC. It can reduce anxiety a little bit and give you more of a sativa feel, more of an uplifting daytime feel. Whereas CBN, CBC, CBD, they're all going to be more attributed to a relaxed state, something more for sleep. CBN, I know, helps you sleep and puts you to sleep easier, which, everyone's different, but that's the general consensus on that.
I see. So the district manager pretty much thinks that CBD edges you pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
That's what he said without saying that exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Pretty cool way of describing it. Now, AJ, there's a question that I have as well. And this one, is obviously going to come off as a cannabis, con question, right? Like an anti-cannabis question, but like it just has to be asked because it's honest. The health risk, we all know that there's health risks, major health risks as well. You even helped us understand that in your personal experience, and you as a professional budtender yourself have stated that you stopped cannabis use because it did more harm than good for you personally. You're not saying that's what it would do for everyone, but for you personally and your life, it did that. Help us understand the major health risks. Like when somebody is thinking of trying cannabis for the first time, what are the major health risks they should put into consideration?
Based on my research, there are cognitive and respiratory. So the respiratory would be basically anytime you're inhaling something into your lungs, it's going to cause discomfort, and there might be problems that come from inhaling anything. really. So I think it would create some sort of discomfort in your lungs. And the other is cognitive. So it does from what I've read, in long-term use, it can mess with your memory. So it can affect your memory, and over time it could be associated to schizo. Again, I'm not a health professional, I'm not a doctor,
we know that.
But from my research, that's what I've found.
Okay.
That it could be attributed to cognitive and respiratory negative effects.
Okay. Now, AJ, this question is a question I'm personally very curious about.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if anyone else is curious about, because I don't even think anyone's pinpointed it enough. But 25, I hear that number a lot in the cannabis medicinal industry. 25,
100%.
Brain development, these two things.
100%.
Why is it that everywhere professionally they state that if you consume cannabis under the age of 25, it could still until 25 affect your brain development, but then it is completely legal for until you're 19. After that, you could completely like go crazy with weed. So why is it like it's known, right? Like, and this is something I ask about because, like, you know, it's a fact, right? It's a scientific fact that the professionals and the researchers have came to conclusion that 25 consuming cannabis under that age could still affect your brain development. But then I don't understand why it's, 19 plus, if that's the case, if that's a known thing. So is that true? Does it affect brain development of the younger people?
Definitely. Experts definitely say that the brain is still developing until your mid-20s, so 25. I would not recommend anyone under 25 to use it, especially if they're using it all the time. But with that being said, like you said, the legal age to buy and smoke cannabis in Canada is 19. So I do see a lot of 19-year-olds, especially those that come in on their birthday or a week after their birthday, and when I kind of tell them, like, I don't want to tell you what to do, but at the same time, I'm going to let you know what I'm selling you. And I'll say, hey, this product is a little stronger. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah, I've been smoking for a really long time. Mind you, I just saw the person's ID and I know that they just turned 19 yesterday.
Yeah.
And I try not to, like, I'm not judging anyone. I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do, but it is concerning to see someone at that age use products that are a little bit heavier, a little more concentrated, just because, your brain is developing until you're 25, according to experts. And anything you do before that is going to affect brain development. And that I personally know that. I used cannabis well before I was 25. And it definitely did not help my brain development, in any way. So I don't understand why there's that huge gap between 19 and 25. I'm glad you brought it up though, because I'm going to go home as soon as, after my appointment, I'm going to go home and I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you even never really thought about it. I find it very weird how they're like, mind you, under 25, it's bad for you. And we know that. But if you're 19 enough, you can go ahead and indulge in it. That's a whole 6 years, right? That's not even like 2 years or 1 year. So they're like, you know what? He's fine now. That's a whole 6 years of brain development that isn't put under consideration, right? It's definitely not safe for younger people, or it's not suggested for younger people because it does affect brain development for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And if that's the case, then we'll get onto another subject, because this is something I hear a lot of people saying. It's natural, bruh. It's just a plant and whatnot. Okay, cool. So just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe. And this is something else, because a lot of people use in the debate that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a plant, you know, and it's the same thing as like, you know, well, God, do you forget that there are poisonous plants, right?
Yep,
do you forget
that's
that
exactly
there
what I was gonna say.
Exactly, right? Like, do you forget that there are plants that literally like would kill human beings, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that cannabis does that, but I'm saying that cannabis might be a slow leading up to that, not killing you, but affecting you. As there are
Definitely.
plants that can kill you, there are plants that could as well affect you on the long term, right? So is it safe to say that natural doesn't mean safe?
Natural doesn't have to mean safe.
Okay.
Like you said, poison ivy is natural. Tobacco is natural, and we have studies that show that it is detrimental to health. Natural doesn't necessarily have to be safe. Yes, it's natural, but there are benefits, and then there are negative effects of anything really, but especially when it comes to marijuana. Safe kind of describes how it interacts with your body. So is it safe? I don't think natural is safe, personally. 'Cause yeah.
I agree. I don't think that natural is an excuse for something being safe. I mean, there are natural disasters, right?
Yeah.
There's many natural things that aren't safe, you know? So many natural plants, many natural disasters, many natural situations that don't put you in a safe case scenario, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, AJ, I want to put the cannabis science questions aside for a bit and ask you a little bit of work-related questions.
Okay.
So you as a budtender, of course, you've had many experiences with many patients, with many customers, many consumers.
Yeah.
Can you please share with us one of your and of course you don't have to say names or like dates or anything.
I'll make up names.
Yeah, of course.
I'll use fake names.
Fake names. Use fake names. Give us one of the craziest examples or times where you sold something to someone, or experiences you've had working in the store or as a budtender. Give us one of your craziest experiences.
I don't know if this would be this store situation or just because of the location we're at. We are near the downtown east side. So it gets a little funny at times. I've had people have full out meltdowns in the store, just lose their minds. Damn. From my experience, we have two different group work chats for two of the locations that I work at. And I've had the worst stories people will tell, like grown men just fighting in the store over stupid things, or we cash out at a certain time before we close, and people getting upset where, are you just saying things and just acting entitled. And the biggest thing for me at work personally is IDs. People who were born 1996 and older are usually super chill, immediately get the ID out, just like Yugimoto and Yukio. Boom, Dark Magician. I'm like, well, okay, you're born in 1989,
here's the weed.
There you go. They don't have a problem at all, but some of the younger crowd get very upset, like, why are you IDing me? And I'm like, first and foremost, it's the law, but secondly, you do look young, which I would think it's flattering, but they get super upset and they leave me bad reviews, or they use international IDs, which are accepted, but some of them I'm not too sure about. There could be a fake ID. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want my company to get in trouble for selling to a minor. So I check IDs, and so many people get upset. There was a gentleman who had a complete meltdown because of something else. I sold him a pen, and he wanted a disposable.
A dab pen?
Like a dab pen.
Yeah.
I sold him a disposable. I sold him a cart, and he wanted a disposable. And so I did mention, hey, you need a battery for this. And he was like, no, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm good. And I was like, okay, well, you did like, it comes, you have to use one with the other. Like you can't have one without the other. And he was like, I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I tried twice. I got shut down. Yeah, it's on you. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe I should ask one more question. I can get yelled at. Cool. But, I didn't want to ask. I didn't ask. And he came back and he had a meltdown, dude. He threw the card at me.
What the heck?
Whole 9 yards. He threw the card at me. I showed him one of the store batteries. He was like, oh, well, you should have told me. And I was like, yeah. So I did try and you didn't listen. And, you can't lose your cool. Yeah. You got to stay chill and relaxed and, try to figure it out peacefully. And he went crazy. I called my district manager. I'm like, dude, bro's having a meltdown. He was like, is that him? Put him on the phone. He was like, what happened? He was like, oh, I thought it was disposable. And this guy sold me some crap. And the district manager tried to calm him down. Like, hey, I'll give you a discount on the next one. But this one, you have a battery. You can have the battery like free. And you have a cart, you have a battery. You can go with that.
Couldn't have still been mad after that.
He was pissed. He threw it at me after that. I kind of saw it coming and I ducked and it just hit the wall. I put it together, put it in the back, and I told my district manager banned him. He said he can never come back.
Well, yeah, of course he should be banned. Fucking idiot.
But you've seen the inside of the shop.
Yeah.
It's a small place, and I was like, I felt very trapped because he was like, he had a meltdown, dude.
Oh, oh yeah, man. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, someone like that, you never know what they could be capable of.
What they're going to be doing, yeah.
Right? I mean, like, if he's throwing stuff at you, I mean, he might as well pull out a weapon as well. So, fuck yeah, no, he should ban his ass for sure. Blacklist that motherfucker. But, all right, man. Well, it's honestly, like, these situations make you and, like, people who work in the same industry as yourself much more commendable because, it's not your fault. Some people are still stupid and slow. It's not just about age, right? I mean, 19 plus doesn't always mean your brain is functioning properly, right? But man, you mentioned that, and let me tell you something. From what I've noticed, these kids, right, they use it as the driver's license now. It's pretty much a driver's license to them. As you mentioned, oh, he just turned 19 and he's here and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, bro, it's literally like the driver's license age for them. And you know how a kid is so excited when he turns 16 because, oh my God, I could go get my driver's license. Yeah. It's literally the same thing for cannabis now. It's like, oh my God, I'm 19. I could go to a dispensary now. And they treat it like that. And I see them treating it like this. Oh, shit. And it's a whole thing, right? And the next day, the very morning of, right? Or maybe even like literally he's at the store, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's like the same thing as the excitement for when they first turned 16 for a driver's license. And it's sad to see that, right? Because as I said before, I'm not here to completely shit on cannabis or whatnot, but I am more so shitting on the way we have come to abuse it in humanity. Yeah, we have come to a level of so it's about us and how we're controlling it, not about the cannabis itself. Because once more, I do genuinely think it would also be stupid to say there's absolutely no use to cannabis, right? Because, of course, everything was created for a reason. But, all right, so that's interesting. And you mind me asking you, so how long have you been working in the industry?
About 4 years.
4 years?
Maybe 5. 4 years, I would say.
Okay. And you don't think you're going to leave it anytime soon? That's where you're going to be staying, right?
No, I don't think so. I do have plans for about 2 years from now. That might change my situation a little bit.
Business moves, AJ?
Business moves, also some other moves. We'll talk about that on a personal level.
Of course, think it's more. Not everything has to be on camera, man.
Public podcast knowledge. But right now, I'm really comfortable where I'm at. It's good, man. It's a good industry. It's a really great city. It has its ups and downs. It's Gotham City, though. I love the
Vancouver
people.
City is Gotham City.
This is Gotham City.
It's literally like a video game here,
Yeah,
bro. It's a cartoon here. I tell people all
Arkham
the time.
Asylum.
Hey, it's literally an asylum. Arkham Asylum. Dead ass. Like, you will meet unique situations, unique people.
Yeah. Colorful characters. Just
for characters,
you know,
bro. The craziest
Penguin,
NPC. The Riddler.
The Mad Hatter. Yeah, the Mad Hatter. That's a character from Batman. Yeah, dude, the Riddler, the Joker. It's
for sure.
It's a beautiful city, though. It's just like, it has its ups and downs.
For sure.
It's sad, though. Like, a lot of these people are stuck in a loop, stuck in a cycle where they want to get out. Like, here's an interesting story. I hope we have the time for it.
Of course, yeah, go ahead.
There's a lady who used to come in on Saturday mornings when I used to only work here weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I was an optician at the time, so I was doing something else completely different during the week. And on weekends, I would work Saturday and Sunday. And she used to come in every Saturday, and she would buy, a joint or a couple joints or something. So I started having this rapport with her. I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't know her name, but it was, oh, hey, ma'am, how are you? Did you want thing you tried last time? I started remembering her orders. I'm like, you got this a couple weeks ago. And one day I was like, why don't you just grab like a whole bunch of joints,
Yeah, so you don't have to
keep coming back every week. Because I don't know if you come during the week. I'm only here at Saturdays and Sundays. But she looked at me and she said, I live on the island and I work during the week, and I only come here to buy weed for my daughter who lives in the streets. And yeah, I was just like, I always used to be so like smiley and happy with her, and I was just...
You just lost the appetite to sell to her after that, right?
Dude. I just felt like I was overstepping, or she was like, yeah, I'd rather her have weed than all the other stuff that's available to her. And it messed me up, man. It was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, just shook to the core. That interaction was one of the last times I saw her. And it was just so shocking and it really opened it up to like, all these people they're someone's family. They're someone's kid. They're someone's, parent. They're someone's cousin. And they're out here, and it's sad, and it's the reality of it. I feel like the government doesn't do anything to help them. When Taylor Swift came here, they cleaned the streets, but they just displaced all these people. And as soon as Taylor Swift left, they came back. FIFA is coming here in a little over a month.
I get doing that for FIFA, but I mean, fuck Taylor Swift, to be honest. Fucking hell, right? Like, I get doing it for FIFA.
But they're displacing people, and these people have nowhere to go, and they're not giving them resources. They're not giving them any counseling, nothing. Just no rehab, nothing. They're just kind of stuck in the streets, moved away from the stadiums, and then they come back as soon as the city's back to its normal self. They come back where, they were.
Wow, AJ, that is actually a wild one right there. I've honestly, like, I'm not sure exactly how you reacted. From what I could tell, because you said that she never came back after, that was one of the last times you've seen her.
Yeah.
Man, who knows? Maybe your inevitable reaction that you didn't even mean facially or whatever. Of course, you didn't say or do anything that made her feel uncomfortable, but maybe your inevitable reaction in your face or whatever made her rethink herself or what she was doing. That's maybe why she didn't come again. I don't know. But that is actually a crazy one. If I was in your position, I swear to you, I don't think I would have continued the convo with her. I think I would have been like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. 1 second. I would have got another employee and been like, I'm not selling there. I don't feel right selling. I would have told the employee what's going on and been like, I can't do it,
The weed is, in my opinion, the weed is better than whatever's out there.
Correct. But you know what's better than that? Taking her to rehab.
Yeah.
Wow. Or, you're her mother. You say she lives on the streets. You don't live on the streets. Take her in. She's your daughter. Like,
maybe she doesn't want to go.
maybe she doesn't, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, no, I don't blame the mother. I think the mother is, because at the end of the day, she has a point when she says it's better than her doing other things. We're not going to get into these other things because, damn, I'm scared about cannabis enough, let alone getting into other substances. I don't want to get age restricted again, YouTube. But yeah, bro, that is a messy one, man.
That was tough. That
one fucked me up.
I was still younger, newer to the industry, more naive. I was just so happy-go-lucky all the time, and that just shook me to my core.
One of your early shocks in the industry and how everything works. Right?
It was interesting. A lot of my customers are homeless.
Really?
They're homeless dudes, come in. They know that the cheapest joint is X amount of dollars, and they'll give me that exact change, or sometimes they're short by a couple cents.
And you just give it to them?
Yeah, I have, we get tips, and I usually take the bigger coins and the bills, and then keep dimes and nickels, loose change there just in the front.
Mm-hmm.
I take it at the end of the night, but I'll keep it there for them. And they come in and they'll buy a joint. And there's one guy in particular, I don't want to mention his name,
of course,
but he only smokes weed. He doesn't use any other drugs.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't believe in it.
Really?
He's homeless, and he's you wouldn't even know he's homeless.
Fuck yeah, man. Because what the number one reason you could tell somebody's homeless nowadays in Vancouver, look at his hands, these symptoms of the hard substance use, right? Yeah. And honestly speaking, a lot of times this gets us onto a subject that honestly is just God, but it's just a difficult subject to talk about, but or it's not difficult as much as there's so much to say about it, but you see these people, right? And you know what pains me the most sometimes? When I see somebody young who looks like they just got into it on the streets. They look fresh. They still look like they're about to become that, right? That hurts me, man. I literally feel all the time when I'm walking back from wherever, whatnot, work or doing whatever, and I see that on the streets, I'm I want to go and take it from his hand or her and be please, can you not? But I can't do that. I'm not going to interfere with their life, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Went
off on a tangent, but...
Yeah, for sure. That was an amazing episode, AJ. I'm not going to take too much of your time because we all know your precious time is very valuable. You're a very busy guy. It's almost 5, so I know you have something to do. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Good conversating here and whatnot. Thank you so much for, flourishing us with your knowledge about, weed and cannabis, the industry that is, cannabis and whatnot. And before I end off things, do you have any shout outs to make? Do you have any last things to say or anything?
Shout out my district manager, Trevor. You're a cool guy. Shout out Jamal, my coworker. Shout out Dilo and Eon. Scarborough, Ontario. Markham, Ontario. Represent.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. Shout out my brother. My brother's been a very supportive guy.
Of course.
Behind the scenes. He doesn't like to get too much praise for the things he does, but he's there for me 24/7, all the time. And shout out to all the budtenders doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to shops where they kind of look at you as a hindrance, you're there during their chill time.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be chilling there on their phone. They're just looking at their phone, and they look up and they're like, what do you want? Kind of thing. Shout out to all the budtenders actually out there educating people. And if you're partaking in THC, you're trying the products and you're doing your best to educate people, because there is a stigma about cannabis. There always has been, but now that it's legal, I think it's up to us, as budtenders and you as doing it on podcasts, to be able to educate those, because a lot of people just don't know.
That's true.
And we gotta teach people the good and bad. There are good and bad things about cannabis, and if you can find the good in it, that's great. If it's bad for you, don't suggest that you use it. You know?
Well, AJ, that was perfectly said. You couldn't have worded that better. And, you know, nothing better to see ever than brotherly love, good old brotherly love. So yeah, guys, that was pretty much it. Cannabis is a very serious subject, mind you. Of course, as you could see, this episode involves nothing such as consumption or promotion of cannabis. This is only for educational purposes. This is why I have a good friend of mine who's also a professional in what he does. He's a budtender. He works in the industry and not just someone who knows nothing about it. And me and him are just sitting and talking, right? So thank you so much, AJ, for, you know, helping us with all your knowledge and whatnot. And I hope you guys got something out of this episode. Whether you are into cannabis or not, I hope you know more about it now. Why, you know, you should, you know, take into consideration many things before considering it, and why, you know, it's a subject that is very worth, you know, learning about and educating others about. Including nowadays in countries like Canada, even children, right? So yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for everything.
One last thing, if there's anything that I was wrong about, drop it below in the comments. Just tell me I was wrong, because I always love to learn new things. I'm not a health professional or a doctor, so I don't know the exact sciences. Try my best, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Of course, man. Thank you so much. You were absolutely wonderful, AJ. And well, you honestly, like, you gave us wonderful answers. At the end of the day, everybody knows that you're not a doctor, you're just a budtender. So yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. Subscribe, follow, and all that. Smell you later.